Buy to let is not dead in 2025. Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to me, Jimmy, down the pub. Don't listen to the bullshit. I'm David Smart, a multi-property business owner based in Scotland, and one of my aims is to help you see the realistic side of property investing in Scotland. So this video I'm going to talk a little bit about property investing in 2025 and where best to start than the negatives, of course. So lots of negatives get thrown about all the time with regards to property investing, property sourcing, building a portfolio, etc. Let me debunk a couple of these just now. So the interest rates, everybody goes on about these interest rates and rising interest rates, which are actually coming down. So just yesterday, the Bank of England reduced the base rate from 4.5% to 4.25%. So it's came down 0.25% again. And I think that's been consistent over the past sort of 9 to 12 months. So the interest rates are coming down. They're coming a little bit more favourably in favour of us investors. So that's a really good sign, and I'll talk a little bit about that just a wee bit further on in the video as well. The additional dwelling supplement in Scotland is 8%. Now that went up overnight last year from 6% to 8%. Only 2 years before the 6%, we were sitting at 4%. So we've doubled in the space of 4 years, which obviously isn't ideal, of course. However, the way you need to look at this is, when we're out looking for properties, we're trying to source the properties on the market, off the market, direct to vendor, whatever it is, we need to be using this for negotiation. We need to just be taking into consideration and on numbers. So what was a decent enough deal with the 6% ADS should still be a decent enough deal with the 8%. It shouldn't be dramatically different. But what we can do is we can use it to negotiate a little bit harder to try and get another few grand off that purchase price, because yes, we need to pay the 8% ADS, unfortunately. Tenant power. So tenants have got all this power, you know, everything's in favour to them. That's changed as well recently in Scotland. New regulations are now in place that allows you to increase the rent to whatever you want. So before you were allowed to increase it to maximum of 12%, now you can actually increase it to whatever you want. Now, of course, there's a bit of a counter argument there in that if a tenant has been paying £500 a month for 10 years, well, one, the landlord should have been increasing that every year, or at least every couple of years, and two, they're not then going to be able to go to your market rent, which could be £700-800 now. Tenants are going to get, you know, frustrated, they're going to get annoyed, they'll get angry, they could stop paying rent. You don't know, so you need to box cover with that one. You could probably be looking to put it up, you know, £100 or something like that to really try and give it a bit of an increase and a bit of a boost. A lot of landlords haven't increased their rents over time. We speak to landlords all the time looking to sell portfolios, properties, and the common theme is, I had a settled tenant and I didn't want to upset them, so I didn't bother increasing the rent, which, you know, I'm always like that. Why? And it's a harder sell. It's a harder sell for them, because then they need to take a larger discount to actually get rid of the property. But tenant power, there's always going to be an element of it. But it's ideal now that landlords can actually say, listen, I need to increase this to market rent. And the reason I need to do that is because my mortgage payments have went up, my bills have went up, the inflation, everything else that's surrounding us. I'll need to increase your rent, and I will need to increase it close to market value. And there's a fair way you can do that, and you can put that across to the tenant. And if they can't increase it, then unfortunately they may have to move on, or the tenant or the landlord, will have to sell the property. So tenant power always be an element of it, but you know, again, another regulation change that is a little bit more in favour of us, the investor or the landlord. And the final one I want to just discuss is this section 24 that gets thrown about. Well, to mitigate that, and just first of all, section 24 is where you are actually taxed on the full rental income, not the net income that you will receive. So if you are doing the buy, renovate, refinance route, then you are going to be refinancing. If you've got an £800 a month rent, like one of my buy-to-lets, I'm sitting at £380 a month positive cash flow after the refinance, after pulling my money out. So you're actually getting taxed on the full 800 rather than the 380 that's actually coming in, that you're net profiting from. So yeah, the way to mitigate that is really simple. Do everything in a limited company. Section 24 only applies if you're buying in your personal name. Do everything in a limited company from day one. That's if you're flipping, if you're building a portfolio, if you just want a small portfolio. just do it in a limited company, because it will save you tax, it will work for you, it will benefit you in the long run. In terms of the investing, what's the sort of key fundamentals? In my opinion, it's buy at a discount, buy right, add value to the property, and buy in a limited company. That's the three sort of fundamentals. If you can buy at a little bit of a discount, you're able to add the value through a refurb, new kitchen, bathroom, paint, flooring, whatever it is, and you're bought in a limited company, you're going to save yourself tax, you're going to increase the value, be able to refinance. There's different products available in terms of bridging lenders, bridging loans, day one refinances. 6-month rule won't really apply, because especially if you're inside the property coaching network, we've got a really specialist broker inside there that I use for all of my projects, talking buying properties with using unencumbered properties as security. It's £200,000 purchases, which I don't even see any of the cash, because I've got a property as security that's lending against. So all these specialist strategies, that's another video that I will do, but all these specialist strategies, and just one of them is simply you buy a property, you renovate it, and you refinance it right away. That's key to building a portfolio quickly as well. So buy at a discount, doesn't need to be a massive discount all the time. Buy discount, add value, limited company. Next is my advice to you would be, don't leave money in your bank account. My bank accounts are always relatively low, believe it or not. I've always got my money out. I always try and get my money out, whether it's the next flip, the next development, the next buy to let, marketing spend, something that's going to give me a return. People that I speak to, investors, new investors, experienced investors, they might have 100, 200, 300 grand in the bank sometimes. Some of them are really looking to get involved in property. Others want to get involved, like the idea of it, but a bit reluctant to make that step. I've got a quote here from a website that I was on, and I think it sums it up, because the inflation eating away at your savings is a real thing, and it's just trying to summarise it and sum it up in some sort of way that makes sense. If your savings are earning less than the rate of inflation, you're essentially losing money, because the value of your savings is decreasing. So you might want to rewind that bit, but that just sums it up nicely for me. The inflation increases, your savings are in there, everything's costing more, you're effectively losing money there. So you need to have a think about that. Get your money out to work, whether it be property or something else, but property, of course, is the safest asset class to invest in for sure. So my advice would be, get the money out, get it out to work. And another thing that we do see quite a lot of with investors is they've got the money there, but they're waiting on this unicorn deal. They're waiting on this all money out deal. They're waiting on something you flip with 40, 50 grand profit. The reality with these deals is you won't find them without sourcing yourself. You'll need to have an element of sourcing within your business. You'll need to be active, you'll need to be on social media, you'll need to be getting the opportunities and finding them yourself, because anybody that finds a deal like that will want to take it themselves. And this, again, part of me just talking quite raw and quite forward, and a lot of property educators and a lot of people in the industry will say, a lot of property sources even will say, I'll get you deals, I'll get you all money out, they'll take fees up front. A lot of trainers will say it's so possible, you just need to get out there. And you know what, it is possible. It actually is possible, but you will need to take steps to make that possible. You will need to be in social media, you will need to be in networks, you will need to be sourcing, you will need to be putting time, dedication into it. You're not just going to come across one of these unicorn deals, as they're called. So my advice to an investor with cash in the bank, maybe time poor, is tie in with ourselves or somebody else that you trust, like and trust with your money. Let them find you good deals, because what's a good deal now will be a great deal in 2 years' time, with interest rates coming down and everything else, so that deal won't look on the face of it now. It'll be better the way things are going in the market, I truly believe. So have a wee think about just your criteria, the type of deals. What we do get quite a lot is investors are sitting there with the money, and they're still sitting there with it 6 months' time. There's no use, because they're waiting on this deal. They're waiting on this deal that might never appear. Meanwhile, inflation eats away at their savings. So get your money out to work. Get your money out to work on the right deals. bit of a discount, you can add the value, you know, you can refinance, go again and again and again, but just don't sit on the money. It's not a good idea. So I hope you've took something from this latest video. This is just my advice to you. You know, this is just tip of the iceberg stuff. We could go on and on and on. You know, there could be a full day's worth of content in property investing in Scotland from my point of view, but this is just a little snippet that I hope you took some value from. If you did, click the subscribe button. You will get a lot more value. Plan on doing a lot more videos with my YouTube channel as well. If you're interested in getting involved in the Property Coaching Network, we've got a full school community there with hours upon hours worth of valuable content and free courses inside. We do quarterly meetups, project meetups. We've got a really active WhatsApp group as well. So the link to that will be in the notes. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.